Mr. Niles wants a girl's story. Lively, simple books are very much needed for girls. I said I'd try.
She set herself to describe the early life of her home.
Little Women was written in Orchard House at a small desk Bronson Alcott built for her.
You waved at it. Oh, Merry Christmas.
Christopher Columbus, Joe, don't use such dreadful expressions. I don't care. I like good, strong words that mean something.
Wait until I become a famous author and make my fortune. Then we'll all ride in fine carriages, dressed like Flo King, snubbing Amy's friends and telling Aunt Marge to go to the Dickens. Come on, let's...
I was born with a boy's nature, and have fought my fight with a boy's spirit and a boy's wrath. Never liked girls, or knew many, except my sisters.
Covering your eyes with your hands. Roderigo! Roderigo! Ah! Save me! Save me!
But our queer plays and experiences may prove interesting. Though I doubt it.
Louise's mother made her what she called a glory cloak. And she said, now you just wrap yourself in that, and the stories will come.
Did you have a hard day, Mommy? No, very pleasant, dear. I have a treat for you. A letter from Father. Give them all my dear love and a kiss.
I'm so full of my work, I can't stop to eat or sleep or for anything but a daily run. Finished Little Women and sent it off. 402 pages. May's designing some pictures for it. Hope it'll go.
The publishers promptly accepted it.
Christmas won't be Christmas without any presents, grumbled Joe, lying on the rug.
It's so dreadful to be poor, sighed Meg, looking down at her old dress.
I don't think it's fair for some girls to have plenty of pretty things and other girls nothing at all, added little Amy with an injured sniff.
It reads better than I expected.
We've got father and mother and each other, said Beth, contentedly from her corner.
We haven't got father, and shall not have him for a long time. She did not say perhaps never, but each silently added it, thinking of father far away where the fighting was.
Robert's brothers told me to keep the copyright, so I shall.
Probably the wisest decision that she made in her literary career.
Notices of Louise's Little Women place her in the first rank of writers of fiction.
I could read right through 3 times, and it would be nicer and funnier every time.
Sweetly quiet, running over with a homely humor that is delightful.
It's amusing to see with how much spirit this simple little book is discussed by elderly people.
The 4 young girls are natural human children with good and evil impulses struggling for mastery.
Bronson Alcott's daughter is unquestionably one of the best writers for the young that New England has produced for many years.
It's simple and true, and we really lived most of it.
The 18th century literature, Romanticism, dark romantics, or Gothic styles, and children's literature are the writing styles arises during this period, whereas they valued the feelings, intuition, idealism, and inductive reasoning in writing, they also saw poetry as the highest expression of the imagination. They also used dark and supernatural themes and settings, and also the concepts of self-reliance and individualism must outweigh in external authority and blind conformity to tradition.
Very prominent. Plus, in the later 18th century, Romanticism was a style that many writers adopted. More on the emotional side of literature. You know, Romanticism. Children's literature then is not just about the funny side or the childish side of the story, but there are some children's stories which depicted dark themes. Ikaw, okay ka na ba?
Opo, yes ma'am. I'm contented. Ma'am, the next question is, how does the Civil War affected Alcott as a writer?
The Civil War did not only affect one writer, but many. Many writers, including Alcott, were writing about their grim experiences in their thoughts about the Civil War. First and foremost, the Civil War broke out between the northern and the southern part of the United States on occasion of the racial discrimination against blacks. The writers who were particularly defending the rights of black Americans or African American slaves were writing for the cause of these slaves. So the writers were not only writing about what they thought about the Civil War, but even included, let's say, characters or created characters that revealed their personalities on what they thought about the war. That it's an ugly thing to see, that it is senseless in the sense that there is no sense to fighting about the rights of the African Americans to be respected and to be co-equal with them. But of course, there are also writers who are not into or would rather let the system stay. I mean to say, especially writers from the southern part of the United States, they would rather let the system remain, let the slaves be slaves, and let the free men be free. But of course, we know what happened to the Civil War. The northern part won, and so the slaves acquired their freedom and equality with the whites, and which also meant victory for the writers because they helped spark. The writers helped spark that idealism that they are also God's creations and that they have the right to live and to be respected. Yeah. So the influence, the Civil War is a great part of every literature, of every writer created. It's a contributing factor, one of the major factors.
Next, ma'am. What are the common themes of Alcott's novels? And why?
More on domestic. Alcott wrote more on domestic affairs and themes.
Why, ma'am? What
it shows in her Little Women, the story of Joe, who else? Marge. These characters portray the common problems, domestic problems, encounter nila. She dealt more on, domestic, what's in the house, how people behave, how people conducted themselves at home. Because it's actually, the home is a mini, small republic, a small country. So whatever how people would accustom themselves inside the home is practically the same how they will behave outside. She's a domestic novelist, if I would term it.
Okay, next question. Why does Alka's story for girls is more successful than those story for boys which she prefer to write?
Because she's a girl. A writer will be as successful only on things that are close to her heart, and most likely close to her stereotype and close to her gender. She knows women more than she knows men.
Next. Why does she use several pen names?
Alcott is not the only one who used it, who did that practice. Practically almost all writers did that. Especially during the onset or the beginning of, or the flourishing of American literature, many women opted to use pseudonyms or aliases for fear of, one is fear of rejection. There are notions that especially women writers who would use men's names or men's pen names because there are notions or beliefs that the male gender is stronger and more accepted in the literary scene, and that when a woman begins to write, she cannot acquire the same prestige and respect accorded to male writers. And that is a very unfortunate thing during that time. In the earlier years of American development of American literature, particularly in the 15th century when the British settled in Colombia, somewhere forgot the first settlement, Virginia, when they first settled in Virginia. Not only Albert did that, other writers did.
Okay, ma'am. The next question is, what does Little Woman have in order for it to become the most famous novel among her other novels?
It's a reflection of herself. There is a saying that no writer becomes incognito. A writer divulges everything about himself or herself through her works. So if Little Women will be a revelation of who Alcott is, then that is going to be her trademark. And actually that is her trademark work. Alcott is also known for other works, but that is her most outstanding.
Next question now. What is special to Lisa May Alcott as an author?
She has this certain sense of wit when talking about the intricacies of thinking, how women think. Although she may not be as profound as Emily Dickinson, who is my favorite, but she has this. She may have had established the first foundations of women writing about women. So she could be a predecessor of women writing about women. So that's one good thing about her. It may not be as profound as Dickinson's work, but she has given us a bird's eye view or a general perspective of how women operate their lives.
Next, ma'am, what is your message for those students for them to be interested in studying literature?
Message for students who are
be interested in studying literature.
I could only say that literature is it's a representation of our lives. So if you are interested to learn the life of other people, then you have to learn literature. If you are a gossiper, you like rumors, literature is a good outlet. Because in literature, you almost talk about everything. Talk about all the facets of life. The serious, the comic, the hideous, even the most obscene, the most profound. You talk about sex, you do it in literature. You can't do that in a grammar class. Literature is almost about everything, about what we are. Because it is life itself. Life unfolded in words.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Louisa May Alcott, an American novelist, born on November 29, 1832 in Germantown, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in New England. Second daughter of the two aspiring transcendentalists, Abby May and Amos Brownson Alcott. Best-known author for the novel The Little Women, an abolitionist and feminist writer. She also wrote passionate, fiery novels and sensational stories, often produced children's stories and adult-oriented exemptions. Joined in suffragette movement. First woman registered to vote in Concord in a school committee election. Died in March 6, 1888, at the age of 55 at Boston due to mercury poisoning, which she contracted in serving as nurse in the Civil War. Both are transcendentalists and supported Louisa on her writing ability. Well known for her children's stories like An Old-Fashioned Girl, 1870, Little Man, 1871, Eighth Cousin, 1875, Rose in Bloom, 1876, Under the Lilac, 1878, Jack and Jill, Joe's Bay, 1886, A Garland for Girls, 1888. Her other works, Flower's Fable, 1855, Hospital Sketches, 1863, Moods, 1865 to 1882, Aunt Joe's Scrap Bag, 1872 to 1882, Work, A Story of Experience, 1873, Silver Pitches and Independence, 1876. Her first book, Flower's Fable, 1855, and first poem, Sunlight, 1850. Several pen names used by Alcott: A.M. Barnard, Aunt Wendy, Oronte Blongage, Minerva Moody, Flora Fairfield, Dr. Dern, and Tribulation Periwinkle.
As to start our documentation, we are going to search some books of Louisa May Alcott in the locality.
But first, we're going to some libraries and bookstores along this place. Here in Marikina Public Library, we're going to start our research.
Let's find out how many books of Alcott they have in here. To be able to know the other list of books of Alcott, we're going to use their own app.
As a librarian, we always see people reading different materials, but as you observe, what kind of book is more likely wanted to be read by the readers?
Before, let me introduce myself. Good morning. Good morning sa inyo lahat. Good morning. I am Rose, your attending staff for today. So this is the general collection section. So all the academics books, you can find it here. Most people visit here to read books. Most of them are the students from different schools. But the student, some of the students here, they read the fiction books, and also the biography of late Princess Lady Diana. So, yes. We have also the periodical section here at the first floor section. So we have all the different kind of novel books there, teenage books at the first floor. So, ano pa?
Ma'am, what do you think are the factors that affects the reading?
Yes. The factors that reading that affect readers interested is the author's name. The author's name, the title of the book. Because it is the title of the movie sometimes, di ba? Yung title ng novel, ginagawang movie, di ba? Yun. And of course, they come here, the ambience, they want the readers, they wanted also the ambience of the library and also the relation of the client to the librarian. So they wanted also, that's why they are visit here to read books. And also the knowledgeable librarian also, they wanted also, that's why they come here to visit. So that is the effects of the factors that affects the reading of the reading books. So ano pa siya?
Thank you.
Recreational section and periodical section, we can find the work of Eloisa May Alcott. So here we found one book of Eloisa May Alcott entitled The Little Women, and it's said here that the first part of Little Women was originally published in 1868 and the second in 1869. And we can also found here the other works of Eloisa May Alcott, such as the Flower Fables, Hospital Sketches, Moods, Camp and Fireside Stories, Until to A Garland for Girls. And this book was published by a Bantam book. And this is the only book of Eloisa May Alcott that we found here in Marikina Public Library.
Our documentation about Louisa May Alcott is not only to know about herself, but also her own points of view. That realism and truth give great power to have success in writing. We also found out that all her works accounts more on children's stories and womanhood. All of this makes her famous and rich.
But beside of her success, few can only realize that Louisa May Alcott was also a versatile and prolific writer of poetry, satire novel, and sensational thrillers, and that she lived a fascinating life at the center of the developments of her day. The story of her life is also the story of her time.
Louisa May Alcott got her excellence in writing by using her own observation and experience.
And before she became a good writer, there are also many other personalities who inspired her, and one of them was her own father, which is one of the transcendental groundbreaker of that time.
Through American Romanticism, or common on transcendental spirit, where as they look for God, not in churches, or by following religious authority, but in children and in themselves, relying on instinct, intuition, observation, imagination, and experience to reveal the basic truths of existence, in which Alcott's writings are probably based on. Alcott's works did not only entertain her readers, but also address the political, social, and cultural issues of her time. It also conveyed the same struggles of what she had that was also felt as of now. The struggles to find a balance between individuality and conformity that is compatible with independence, dependence, and interdependence.
You never put your love out on the line. You never said yes to the right guy. You never had trouble getting what you want. But when it comes to you, I'm never good enough.
When I don't care, I can play him like a Ken doll. Won't wash my hair and make him bounce like a basketball. But you make me wanna act attack. I think I'd have a heart attack. I think I'd have a heart attack. Never break a sweat for the other guys, but when you come around I get paralyzed. Every time I try to be myself, it comes out wrong like a cry for help.
It's just not fair, brings more trouble than love is worth. I gasp for